The U.S. Surgeon General declares gun violence a public health crisis. ABC 3340's Valerie Bell reports in Birmingham, speaking with those who have been impacted and how lives have been changed.
That was my only son, my oldest son, so it's been rough.
On August 16, 2016, Roger Cheatham was killed with his children asleep in another room. Birmingham police say at least 3 masked men broke into his apartment.
They shot my son in the head and they killed him.
I know it's been almost 8 years, but it's still got to be just as hard today.
It is a scene just like it was yesterday. Just like it was yesterday. I thought as the years go by, it would get easier, but it's still just like it's yesterday.
This mother won't stop fighting for justice and fighting for a change in state law.
We know who they are, but with the law, you have to put them there.
Cheatham isn't sure declaring a public health crisis will change anything.
It will not bring back my son, no. And I just want people to put down the guns.
That pain and heartache echoed by others like Dimitri Carpenter.
He just never really recovered from it. And so you just really hang on to memories.
Carpenter's brothers were killed 9 months apart in separate shootings in Birmingham in 2022.
They were my 2 boys, 2 of my little brothers. So I love them dearly, still love them, miss them. But life goes on and there's a lot of work out here that needs to be done. That's what I'm committed to doing.
Carpenter says it is a public health crisis, but hopes awareness comes next and feet on the ground comes behind it.
You can do it from DC, you can do it from Montgomery. But if the people in the communities that are dealing with it and suffering from it don't rise up and do something about it, nothing really will be done.
He says it's going to take a village. Malcolm Armstrong agrees, but thinks this is a step in the right direction.
I think it's about time. You know, it's been years, you know, just heart just being broken over and over. You know, it's just a lot of restless nights, you know, just thinking about, you know, what can be done, what can we do.
Armstrong was a victim 5 years ago in Woodlawn.
I was heading to work and guys just flying down the street, you know, to open fire on my house, shot me twice.
1 bullet just 2 inches from his spine.
I wanted to get revenge. I wanted to catch those guys. I wanted to, you know, do exactly what they did to me.
But learned it's a never-ending cycle.
It's really not worth it.
In Birmingham, Valerie Bell, ABC 3340 News.
As for the newly declared epidemic, the Alabama Department of Public Health told ABC 3340 the following, quote, ADPH recommends that Alabamians be aware of community prevention programs intended to prevent youth violence while also recognizing law enforcement's efforts to prevent violent crime from occurring in our neighborhoods and community.
How have you and your family been impacted by gun violence?
Oh, man. So how we've been impacted by gun violence? And, you know, well, starting with death of my brother, you know, probably a few years ago, right before COVID. And not just ending there, but also with me also too. I've been infected too myself.
I want to stop you right there. When you say that, what do you mean?
When me being impacted. So I was shot 2 years ago, or about 4 or 5 years ago. You know, just I was in the neighborhood, I was heading to work and guys just flying down the street, you know, to open fire on my house, shot me twice in the back, inside, you know. Could have been fatal, but one fatal. One of the bullets almost paralyzed me, was 2 inches away from my spine, you know, but the grace of God that I wasn't paralyzed. I'm here. And I survived through it, you know, so it could have been worse than that, but God didn't allow that to happen. Yeah,
and your brother, I'm sorry for asking,
yeah.
Was he shot and killed, or was he just shot?
He was, but he wasn't killed by the gun. Okay. Yeah, he wasn't killed by the gunshot, but he was killed later on.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
No, it's fine.
I'm so intrigued that, you know, that you've been shot and survived. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad of that too.
You left me speechless.
Thank you.
You know, given what you've been through, I mean, hearing that this is a public health crisis nationwide and that things like this are going on, how do you react to that?
I think it's about time. You know, it's been years. You know, just heart just being broken over and over. You know, it's just a lot of restless nights. You know, just thinking about what can be done, what can we do. Like, I just remember sitting in my living room, just praying, talking to God, just like, God, what can I do? How can I be more involved to get, to take care of this problem? But I know it'll never be done in one day, and one person can never do it all. Kind of like how my brother said, it takes a lot. It takes a village. It takes everyone, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. I'm thankful to be there. I want to be there, because I just know it got to be done, and somebody has to be there to do it.
And when you share your story,
Yeah.
About what you've been through, what's your message for anybody watching this, for the city of Birmingham, where, on a local level, there's been a problem with gun violence?
I think the biggest message is, for one, trusting God. That's number one. Number two is trusting those around you. And three, I would say, believe God is going to work it out. And the reason why I say that is because when it first happened, anybody can tell you close to me, they know, they seen it in my eyes. They knew who I was in my past. I wanted to get revenge. I wanted to catch those guys. I wanted to, do exactly what they did to me. But it took like friends, family, to being there, praying there for me, and just leaning heavy on God, to have some forgiveness, because we're having retaliation, it leads to more retaliation, and that cycle never ends. So I think at some point, somebody got to be the bigger person, and let's just say it's not worth it, because it's really not worth it. Cause people can say words, and people can actually put their hands on you and harm you and do things to hurt. But if you stay rooted in Jesus, and if you choose to forgive people daily, and just continue to just make the next step and do the right thing, it becomes easy after the process, and you can save a life. You save your life. You save the next person that you decided to get revenge on. You save their life, and you just save a lot of hurt from families. People don't think about, their decisions affecting others and their family members. Because if you do go do something to that person, you don't have to, well, you might suffer for it later on, but their family suffer for it too, and people don't think that far.
And here you are, how many years later?
About 5-6 years later. Yeah.
6 years later, here to tell your story. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you.
Did that happen in Birmingham?
It happened in Birmingham, right here in Woodlawn, actually, too. I grew up in Woodlawn, graduated from high school, so it happened literally right down the street.
Can you kind of just recap for everyone on camera what happened with the budget today and what your concerns are?
Yes, so today the council passed 4-2 to delay it for about 3 months, which means that we didn't vote on the budget, so we automatically go into last year's budget, which is basically the same thing that the mayor proposed. And so right now, we're just waiting to see what numbers we're gonna get since we had that system disruption for about 8 or 9 weeks.
Was it a 60-day delay?
So we amended it to make it 3 months because the 60 days would have been August 25th, and they felt like that wasn't enough time to give the mayor, to give us those numbers.
So what happens, fiscal year starts, what, July 1st?
July 1st.
So help me out, so what happens on July 1st?
Nothing. We just continue on the same budget.
What will be the opportunity for citizens to weigh in on any changes when the new improved, I guess, the more updated budget comes out?
So that's the thing about that. Councilor Woods was talking about you have to give amendments to the budget. And so you either have to have 5 councilors to vote yes, and then the mayor has to sign off on it. If you remember in 2020, that was something we were trying to do, and we failed by 1 vote each time. So that's the only way you can really amend the budget, unless the mayor brings another one.
I know you were really hesitant in there today before making any vote or decision. Can you kind of explain why and what your concerns about? You mentioned some things that you guys have talked about increasing the
Yes.
budget for that won't get that at this moment.
Well, I think, the most important thing, and Mayor Woodfin has been doing a better job of this, make sure we have the right services for our citizens. We can do all these different programs, get an amphitheater, but we can't get their trash picked up or the streets paved, then it kind of doesn't mean anything for the people who actually live in Birmingham. We wanted to see increase in traffic calming. Traffic calming is, for example, the stop signs, the speed bumps, for example. We want to see increased funding in street paving, especially these potholes. I feel like, well, that's NEC, potholes are everywhere, and there are certain streets that haven't been paved in years. Sidewalks, for example, the sidewalks near our schools, for example, are horrendous. Even though some of us gave ARPA funding, it's just those little infrastructure things that we wanted to see increase in. Things for crime prevention, we know crime is out of control, or seeing how we can help the police. And because we don't have those amendments, I was hesitant. Not saying I don't trust Mayor Woodfin, but I didn't want it to be where we pass this budget and then, it's February, March before we see it done.
So is the idea by giving yourself this extra time that by then you'll have the real budget? Is that kind of the idea?
So, sorry, that was kind of a misunderstanding. We've always had a budget. So that's like your household budget, right? You just present a budget. So this is the budget. They're just saying it wasn't the real budget because we didn't have all the numbers because we were missing 9 weeks. But the proposed budget is the actual budget because it's a balanced budget, which is what's required for every city. You have to have a balanced budget.
Has everything been reconciled to your satisfaction as far as the numbers that were missing and had to be added by hand and so forth?
No, that's the whole problem with the council. We haven't been given that. They haven't. And that's fair because that's 9 weeks, by hand that you have to input manually in addition to our everyday operations. And so we're really just waiting on those numbers. And honestly, that's fair for the council because that's our number one job is to pass a budget with accurate information.
I'm sorry, and what was the reason that you're missing that data for our audience? that
The
may not be aware of
the
history?
system disruption that happened back in March to April. And because of that, if you remember, the systems being down, meaning that 911 kind of wasn't working, so GPS counting had to be done by hand instead of everything being computerized. And so you're missing 9 weeks in the actual system, which helps us to give those numbers so they can figure out the budget.
So what will happen in 3 months then?
That's a very interesting question. So I really think what will happen in 3 months, hopefully the mayor will give us those numbers as well. And then also hopefully we can have some amendments, whether it comes from the council or from the mayor. And that's talks we can have with him one-on-one.
So first of all, I know that your family's been impacted not once but twice by gun violence. And there's so many families going through what you guys are going through. What's that like for you guys?
Dealing with, multiple situations where you lose a loved one to gun violence, in my opinion, it's not easy, obviously, but it's never, it's just an ongoing feeling that you never stop feeling. It gets better with time. However, that person is always absent in your mind and your heart, and so you just never really recover from it. And so you just really hang on to memories and stay around people that you love and who share those same memories with you.
And I know your brothers and you were really close.
My two brothers and I were very close, just 4 years apart total. So, they were my two boys, two of my little brothers. So I love them dearly, still love them, miss them, but life goes on and there's a lot of work out here that needs to be done. That's what I'm committed to doing. So that keeps me going.
And you touched on something, work to be done. I mean, it's no secret, work needs to be not just done in the city of Birmingham, but all over the country. In fact, as we talked about earlier, the U.S. Surgeon General declared gun violence a public health crisis. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is, a step in the right direction to addressing the issues that so many communities and so many families have to face?
I think what the attorney, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Yep. I think what the Surgeon General did is correct. Gun violence is a nationwide issue, is a human issue, is a state issue, is a city issue. And so I love the fact that he declared it a public, I know you're gonna cut it, so. A public, what is it, public?
I believe it's a public health crisis.
Public health crisis. So it is a public health crisis. So I remember though, just a few years ago, I wrote the governor of Alabama saying the same thing. I felt like that the state could have did more to help those cities within our state that are dealing with a lot of gun violence, and Birmingham being one. And so I love the fact that they did that. They declared it a public health issue. I just don't know what comes next. You know, I don't know what comes after that.
What do you hope comes next?
I hope, one, awareness comes next, and two, I hope that feet on the ground comes behind it. We really need people to be out here doing the work. You know, you can do it from DC, you can do it from Montgomery, but if the people in the communities that are dealing with it and suffering from it don't rise up and do something about it, nothing really will be done. We got to hold each other accountable. We need those grandmas to hold those grandkids accountable. We need the moms and dads to do the same, brothers and sisters. And so it's going to take a village, a true village. Getting back to that, it takes a village mentality in our city.
And I know that you don't want anyone to have to go through what you or your family has gone through.
It is so heartbreaking seeing over and over people have to struggle with the loss of young people, especially due to gun violence. And I tell people all the time, you know, I'm a man of faith. And I think that, you know, black men, it's just been tough seeing how often we're losing our fellow black man to gun violence in Birmingham particularly. And so I don't want any other families to deal with this, but the reality is until we do what I just talked about, nothing will change. We gotta get back to holding each other accountable and taking our communities back.
Okay, so I know this is hard for you, but tell me a little bit about what happened in 2016 with your son.
2016, it was about 10 p.m. My son was at home with his three kids and his next door neighbor. And about 10 o'clock, they say three masked men came in to rob my son. The neighbors was the next door neighbor was still sitting on the sofa. My grandkids were asleep. And they robbed him. They got the tussling, and they shot my son in the head, and they killed him. The next door neighbor still was there alive. My grandkids were still asleep. So it's been rough. And I guess they have this street code where nobody a snitching something code. So far, I'll just say we know who they are, but with the law, you have to put them there. So I don't want them to think no means that we don't know who they are, but we do. But we just have to put them there. So it's been rough. It's going on 8 years. That was my only son, my oldest son. So it's been rough.
His name was Roger, correct?
Roger Cheatham.
How old was Roger?
He was 31 at the time. And Roger was actually a good person. I never had any problem out of him. He was actually, you know, he was a good son. Took care of his kids. And you know, it was rough on my grandkids being in the house, listening to all this. And my 15-year-old grandson, he was 8 at the time, he's really having a hard time. It's rough. And I know it's hard for me. And I wasn't the one that went in there to find my son. He was, so it's rough.
So, I mean, you're without your son, and these children are without their father. I know it's been almost 8 years, but it's still got to be just as hard today.
It is. It seems just like it was yesterday. Just like it was yesterday. I thought as the years go by, it would get easier, but it's still just like it's yesterday. And I go out to the cemetery every Father's Day, every birthday. I still buy him a birthday cake. We celebrate his birthday. You know, it kind of helps. It kind of like, I just feel like I know he's not here, but by me going out there, doing that, keeping up his grade, I just don't want him to think that I don't gave up on him. So that's just something I'm going to always do as long as I live. Go out there, keep up his grade site, and celebrate him.
And I know what you've experienced is a mother's worst nightmare. When you hear that so many other mothers and families have been impacted the same way that you and your family have been impacted. What's that like?
It's hard. It's it's hard because I don't sleep at night. I have to have something to help me sleep. Um, I still go to my counseling. I still see my psychiatrist, and I have to do that on an everyday basis to kind of help me try to make it. Um, you know, so it's rough. And then just seeing my grandkids. His oldest, she graduated from high school this year. She gone to the National Guard, and after that, she gonna attend Alabama State. So I was happy for her, but it was sad at the same time. It was sad.
And today, the Surgeon General declared gun violence as a national public health crisis. From your perspective, will this do anything or change anything or help in any way?
I don't know. I don't I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so.
It won't bring back your
It will
son.
not bring back my son. No. And I just want people to put down the guns. 'Cause like I say, it's hard, it's rough, and I'm gonna fight for mine to get. I'm gonna fight to get justice. I do want justice. Would that make me feel better? No, because that won't bring back my son. Um, but I just feel like, y'all just destroy people's family by taking their loved ones. It's just not right. They really just don't know what I go through on an everyday basis. They just don't know. And I try to be strong, but I try. But it's hard.
Is there any laws or mandates or stricter punishments or, bans on assault weapons or anything that you would like to see done?
Yes, I, s- I know they took away the you don't have to have a permit to carry guns, and I think that's just wrong because everybody's just picking up a gun. Just killing. They just gone crazy, and nothing is being solved. And I don't understand why there's so many homicides out there, and they's not being solved. So I get frustrated with Birmingham. I do because sometimes I just feel like nothing is being done. Some of them be patient with me, some of them don't. But they got to do better. Something got to be done, even with this law, putting the people there. Because if you know these people, we know that they was there. You can't do anything to them, and it's wrong that the law the way it is. It's just all wrong to me. Just-
Anything else I didn't ask you want to add or say, ma'am?
no, that's about it.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all.